Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, hit like, share and link. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, home of the champions. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, hit like, share and link. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, home of the champions. When I need a scoop on the league, I hit up the dream team. Go to Rams Buzz.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Going Around Buzz podcast with Damon and Sal. Today our guest will be Green Bay fan fanatic Ray Green. Can't wait to see what Ray Green has to say about his Packers. Does he have love for love? Does he have love for Favre? Aaron Rodgers, who's his favorite quarterback? Can't wait to get him on as a guest, Sal. With that being said, the Rams lose to the Bears. What do you think about that game, Sal? We had it and
I mean, how disappointing was that, right?
Yeah.
Watching it, it's just like, you could just see the game just slipping through the Rams' fingertips. Huh? That game was a winnable game, but as I'm watching the game, I'm just thinking, like, the Rams have no identity, right? I mean, in the offseason, the Rams went and were going to beef up the offensive line, right? They were going to run the ball, take pressure off of Stafford, but it's like now, when you're struggling, you have injured offensive linemen. Me personally, I would just run the ball. I mean, we're in the red zone how many times, and you can't settle for field goals. I like Josh Carty, but I mean, I'd only like to see him maybe 2-3 times a game.
Yeah. With the game on the line, or making field goals.
Yeah. To be game deciding.
Yeah,
definitely, he's money, but the Rams got to get in the end zone.
To me, like me, you were watching the game together, El Torito. And I said, Sal, the first 2 drives, the Rams should have been up like 14-0. Like I said, don't give this young team confidence because they're not going there expecting to win. I mean, every NFL team thinks they have a chance, but if the Rams would have scored those first 14 points or even a touchdown, make it 10-0 instead of 6-0, the whole game is completely changed in my opinion, Sal. I'm going to go over a couple stats. Matthew Stafford was 20 of 29, 224 yards, 1 interception. Technically, he threw 2, but the one was called back because of a penalty in the goal line.
I mean, it was out of bounds, yeah.
Kyren Williams had 19 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Tutu Atwell goes off again, 4 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And the leading scorer of the game, Sal, like you just mentioned, was Josh Carty. 4 or 5 field goals, a 52-yard field goal, and he scored 12 points, Sal. Yeah. He scored 12 points in the game. Now, if you score 12 points as a field goal kicker and you win the game, I'm happy. But we lost, Sal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Explain. I don't understand that. I understand the game. The red zone is our kryptonite. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. But, I think that when you're on the road, you got to go, play percentages. You got a good running back in Kyren. I mean, Kyren is built for that. Just turn around and hand him the ball. You got to be patient. You got to establish the run, especially when you have offensive linemen, makeshift offensive line. And I think for Kyren, he's just going to go along with the program, but you got to give him the ball.
Yeah. He's
not going to say much, but, the coach, I think McVay sometimes, he kind of gets pass happy and eventually it's going to catch up. I mean, he's been in the league. This is his 8th season in the NFL. And, sometimes you got to humble yourself and just do the right thing. I would just run the ball.
I would run the ball too. I didn't see no trick plays. I didn't see nothing going on. I just think the Rams went in there like, okay, we got this game. Let's get in and get out. Let's get to Green Bay. Mm-hmm. I think they're looking ahead to Green Bay so much that McVay didn't, like you said, run the ball, pound it. You have a bell cow because, as you see, we drafted a rookie who never plays. I haven't seen Blake Corum in a game, maybe 1 or 2 plays. Yeah. But it's always Kyren Williams, Ronnie Rivers all the time. And Kyren Williams is our bell cow. But if he's our bell cow, use him all the time. Matthew Stafford's always constantly passing. How are you going to pass, Sal, when you have a backup offensive lineman? We're not at full strength.
That's what I'm saying.
He's getting beat up and battered, Sal. I don't understand it. I'm like, run the ball.
Stafford's taking a beating.
Yes.
And also, like, when you look at the Rams receiving core, I mean, without Puka and you don't have Puka Nacua, you don't have Cooper Kupp. So right now, as you look at the Rams receivers, pretty much, throwing the ball, it's like a 50-50 chance of the receiver making a play, right? So with the odds being that, why don't you just run the ball? I would just run the ball and eventually open up the offense. And, you'll get your opportunities as the game plays on, but you have to establish something. And I think for the Rams, you got to establish, the run.
Yeah,
it's the same thing that happened last year. You remember when the Rams were struggling and what'd they do? They come out of the bye. They start giving the ball to Kyren, right? And the Rams became a different team.
But why
I think they could do it again.
Why wait till the bye to do that? Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. That's where the stubbornness comes, right? That's where the stubbornness comes where, you have an offensive coordinator, but Coach McVay calls the plays. Sometimes you have to, if what you're doing isn't working, maybe sometimes another voice, will be.
And it's funny because everybody's like, fire Chris Shula, because the Rams are 1-3. My question is this, Sal: if the Rams are 3-1 or 4-0, would they say fire Chris Shula, or would the Rams fans say, right now because the Rams are losing, wait, Puka Nakua, we need Cooper Kupp. Oh man, we need this and with that. But when a team is winning, that never gets mentioned. I notice. If the Rams are 4-0, nobody would be like, oh, I can't wait for Cooper Kupp. They'd be like, oh, rest him, we're doing well. But it's just crazy how things have changed since the Rams are 1-3, going a game against Green Bay. But if you think about it, in my opinion, the Rams should be worse, 3-1, because they should have beat Detroit. They beat the Niners, and they should have beat Chicago. But it's the NFL. We don't win off of ifs. We go by wins, you know what I'm saying? So it's just frustrating because it's like, come on, we watched the game together. I'm like, Sal, what are they doing? What are they doing? So and Tutu Atwell's not like he's just a deep threat. He's not going to go.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's like, I mean, I love Tutu, but he's not going to win all the battles. I mean, when he goes deep, he has a huge advantage. But as far as, the other routes, it's kind of tough because he's kind of undersized, of course. But, and then also running the ball, you save your defense. Right now, our defense is struggling. Our secondary is like, everyone's looking around. But, after that Cardinal game, it was kind of like a realization that Aaron Donald isn't coming back. No one's going to save you. You have to figure it out. So once the Rams lost Aaron Donald to retirement, then we had Ernest Jones, right? So everybody, Ernest Jones being a captain, we felt that Ernest Jones was going to be the defensive leader, and then we trade him away. So now it's like, the Rams are such a young team. As we're struggling and we're being run on, right, being gashed for big runs, it's like everyone's kind of looking around, looking for someone to make a play. We just don't have that guy on the team right now that's a defensive leader that can keep the team together and get them back on focus.
My question is this: how come in the red zone we get stagnant? We know Tutu was not an end zone person. To get Tutu at the touchdown, you have to throw him a long pass because once he gets down there, you're going to get blocked, you're going to get chipped and all that. Why not just do like it happened in the playoffs last year against Detroit? Happened this year. It's like the Reds. I don't understand the red zone. They can't score. We should we got to score touchdowns. There's no. You know what it is? There's no like when we had Todd Gurley, we knew he was going to score a touchdown.
Oh yeah.
With them, if Kyrie Williams not in the game, I don't know who they go to. Like without Puka there and Cooper, like who's the person you're gonna throw it to in the end zone? Who's gonna win the battles 1-on-1? Who's the running back that's gonna? You know what I'm saying?
And when they do, it looks like it's a forced play, right? I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't flow. And the offense. That's why I'm saying with Kyron, he can do it all. He's also a threat, coming out of the backfield as a receiver. So, but the Rams, luckily, it's early in the year. The Rams can get back on track, and once they start getting players back, but still. With the parity being what it is now, you don't want to fall too far behind, especially in that division. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go over and we're going to talk about the Rams. I'm going to this week's past games. We'll start off with Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys beat the Giants 20-15, and Dak owns the Giants, so that was pretty much a gimme, right?
Yes.
The game that I like to see that we're talking about was the Vikings and the Packers. The Vikings win 31-29, but the Vikings are blowing them out. And I strictly told you, I said, Sal, this is going to end in a close game because I know how this is. Sam Darnold looking like Joe Montana right now, and the coach looking like Bill Walsh. But the second half, Green Bay's going to make adjustments because, in my opinion, Green Bay has a better coach. And
they're a well-coached team.
Who's Green Bay's coach used to coach under? Sean McVay.
Matt LaFleur,
That was a great game. What did you think about that game?
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of Matt LaFleur. I think that he's a great coach. He's done a lot for the Packers. You always think of like some of his accomplishments are kind of like swept under the rug, but he deserves a lot of credit. Especially, when you lose a player like Aaron Rodgers, most teams will be kind of reeling for a couple of years until they get a quarterback. But he had them right back in contention really quick.
Well, one thing about Green Bay quarterbacks, they're always good. Like they take a couple, like Brett Favre played for 15, 16 years. Okay, Aaron Rodgers sits behind him. Aaron Rodgers becomes great. Jordan Love, we don't know much about him. He sits behind Aaron Rodgers 3 years, 4 years. He seems to be, great.
But when I was growing up as a kid, when you would draft a quarterback, you would never hear from him for at least 3 or 4 years. So the Green Bay Packers are the only team really in the NFL where they draft a player. But it takes a special player to be able to be drafted and have talent and to be able to sit on the bench and be a backup for a couple of years until it's your time. And once you do, you learn to play the game better. You have a great tutor. And so when you're thrown in, not even really thrown in, when it's your time, you're ready to go because you've seen it all. And you were also, coached well too.
The game that we saw also, the Falcons beat the Saints 26-24, 50-yard field goal by Young Hoku.
Yeah.
Repeat that. Young Ho comes through with the field goal.
He nailed that, huh?
He nailed it like it was easy. You remember he used to play for the Chargers?
Yeah, I remember.
And then a couple years ago, he was good at onside kicks. I just like his name, Young Ho.
It seems like kickers really, they have to get kind of let go a couple of times, right? Bounced around before they start kind of find their groove.
The Colts beat the Steelers 27-24.
That was surprising.
Yeah, that was surprising.
But you know what? I mean, when Richardson got injured and then they put in Flacco, he worked his magic again.
Flacco always comes through with something. Last year with Cleveland, he worked his magic and made them all the way to the playoffs. So
you know what's funny is he said that he was telling the reporter that Richardson said that he's the same age as his mom. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, he ain't listening to him. He's like, man, get out
that's
here.
what he said. He said he's cool. He said, he said I was cool, but I'm the same age as his mom. So, but you know, I mean, what a advantage, right? To have a veteran quarterback that you could just plug in and pull out a game like that.
The biggest shock to me was the Commanders dismantling the Cardinals 42-14. Jaden Daniels, the real deal. Jaden Daniels from San Bernardino High School, Arizona State, LSU. He's like making this look easy, man. And I heard that what it was in college, he had like this device that simulated like a real game, a real crowd game, and he put the speed up to like 1.5 or 1.6. And so what he's seeing in the NFL is kind of slow to him because in LSU he had this device that he uses with Washington now that the game speeds up. It's like, and it's slowing to him.
It slows the game,
Wow,
so he sees things happening before they happen.
Yes, this is unbelievable to me. Jaden Daniels, like people didn't, let's pick Caleb Williams and that's what I'm saying. NFL, you never know. I know it's the first 4 games, but the Commanders.
No, but he's a natural leader. He's talented too.
Yeah,
I mean, for a young player like that, you know, and he also has the #1 selling jersey.
He does?
In the NFL, yeah.
Wow. I bet my family in Washington, big shout out to my family. I got family and cousins out there in Washington. I've been out there. They love it, man. They're loving this right now because
he's awesome. Yeah. It's fun to see, especially from California, you know.
The Raiders beat the Browns 2016, but everything's not so nice in Vegas right now.
Isn't it scary now? Like, isn't it scary with social media how, you know, that story broke that Antonio Pierce liked, you know, liked that tweet that said that Devontae Adams may have played his last game as a Raider. And it's like that became a story because you liked a certain story. And that's pretty scary that they follow you that closely.
They do.
Every little thing you do, every step, you know. And so they said they haven't spoken since, you know, that happened. But Devontae Adams has a lot of talent. And you know what? When happy Devontae Adams is pretty dangerous.
He plays, but he went to LV, think he's going to play with his boy. He went to the Raiders, think he's going to play with his boy Derek Carr. The Carr went to San, so it's like, things are always green on the other side. Like my boy Ray Green said earlier, you know, chit-chatting, but it's like, man, things are not always
But you know, it's interesting because players like that, though, you know, Randy Moss was kind of like that too. But when they're happy,
they play.
Oh, man, they're unstoppable.
Now, this game right here, the Chiefs beat the Chargers 17-10. Now, it wasn't the best win for the Chiefs, but they're still undefeated 4-0. And as the guy, what's his name, Pacheco, the quarterback slipped on his ACL or something, Sal? He's out for the year, you think? Or what's going on with that?
Yeah, it is a tough injury. But, who was that? Rice, I think it was?
Yeah, I think it was Rice or Pacheco. Yeah,
I think it was Rice, that he suffered that injury. But isn't it crazy now because, you know, you watch the Chiefs are starting to win games like the Patriots would win games, right? You could outplay them for 3 quarters, but for some reason, you know, they're able to find a way to win a game. But I think with the Chargers, it's kind of frustrating because you see that, you know, the quarterback, he's kind of he's getting frustrated because they're running the ball more. You know, here you have a guy who, Justin Herbert, who was, you know, one of the top passers in the league, and now they're turning into a running game.
And he was hurt that game. He shouldn't have played that game.
No.
Why would you play
see him
that
slam
game?
the helmet, though?
Yeah, why would you play that game knowing there's a bye coming up? I think they have a bye coming. Why would you play him that game?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of times, you know, people want to crown people too quickly. It's a long season. I guarantee you that the Rams will be in the mix as the season plays on. I mean, it's going to be a tough. All these divisional games will be really close. I think divisions are going to be won by 1 or 2 games, you know, at most.
The Ravens dismantled the Bills 35-10. Oh, wait, Ravens are not out of the playoff. Oh, remember 0-2 Ravens. Yeah. Now they're back to 2-2, back to where they started. Like you know, things are back to normal again.
But you know what's funny is every week it's like there's always that new MVP, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was talking about, it's always one quarterback one week. The next, it's another a quarterback, but it's a long season.
It is.
You have to play well, and you don't want to peak right now way too early.
And then the game, Lions in Seattle. Lions win 42-29. Jared Goff went 18 for 18. Everybody thought he had the record. No, you got to do a minimum of 20 passes to get the record. He did go 18 for 18, no, but I'm glad.
But I think one of the biggest mistakes in that game, or after that game, was not giving him the game ball.
That's what I saw. How you not know this? Like,
yeah, he said he would. How could you not give the game ball to Jared Goff? That, that was an amazing display, right? I mean, Goff is much improved, and I was happy for him. Of course, beating a divisional team for us helped us, but. I couldn't believe that he didn't get the game ball.
And then Goff, they thought he broke the record, but who has a record? Isn't it Kurt Warner or something like that? Who has a?
Well, I think it has to. He was 18 for 18, but I think it has to be 20 passes.
Yeah. But Kurt Warner, I thought, had the record or something like that.
No? He may. He holds a lot of records.
Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce our guest, Sal. Coming up, Ray Green, everybody. Let's see what he has to say. Does he have love for love? Can't wait to see what he has to say.
Let's see what we got.
Major shout out to our sponsor, La Brea Bakery Bread. You can find La Brea Bakery Bread at all your local retail stores in the bakery section. Once again, take and bake with La Brea Bakery Bread. Joining us now, he's a pastor of sports ministry of Whittier Area Community Church. He's been a Packer fan for over 20 years. He's going to Lambeau Field on October 20th to see the Titans. He's never been to Lambeau Field before. My friend, my homie of the last 20-something years, Mr. Ray Green. Thank you for joining us, Ray Green.
Yeah, so welcome,
How you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing fine, man. This is it's fun being here. I love talking sports, love talking football, NBA, NFL, whatever it is, we can get it in.
Let's get it in. What made you a Green Bay fan, first of all?
What made me a Packers fan is obviously I grew up without a team.
Okay.
I grew up more of an NCAA basketball fan, Fab Five, Michigan Wolverines, running Rebels, UNLV, all that, It was just fun because you saw teams stay together for 3-4 years because guys weren't leaving early. So you got to root for rivalries and, you got to know players, and then all of a sudden, things change. And I was a big NBA fan also. So with the NFL, wasn't paying too much attention to it, more of a hooping fan. And then, that's when the Rams had their glory days here in LA. And when I started to become a football fan and pay more attention to the NFL, the Rams weren't here. So I didn't really have a team. I was more of a fan of particular players.
Okay.
Right. And so what happened was I met who's my wife now. We just celebrated 24 years of marriage. 30
Congratulations,
years
man. Congratulations.
Yeah, we met at 19 years old.
What?
And, got to know her dad. God rest his soul. He passed away a couple years ago. Big time Green Bay Packer fan. And when we would go to church, we'd come home and I'd watch the Packer games with her dad, just hang out with the family on a Sunday. And that was right around the time that Aaron Rodgers was taking over. And I just love the way he spun that ball, man. And I just kind of fell in love with watching the Green Bay Packers play, watching the way he played, that open offense, and a lot of passing, a lot of fun, a lot of touchdowns. And just kind of fell in love with how the Green Bay Packers play. Fell in love with the nostalgia of their team, small market, all that stuff, and small town, and just appreciated the way that they approached the game, and been a Packer fan ever since.
You've been a Packer fan ever since. Do you have a favorite all-time Packer player, or who's your favorite all-time Packer player?
Well, I love Reggie White. Rest in peace, Reggie White, Minister of Defense.
Yeah.
Just how he conducted himself on and off the field. And even as a pastor myself, he was a guy that I think, when you look at his story, he was a man that preached the word, but I think at a certain point, he even offended people at some point, with some of the things he was saying. And the Bible is not meant for us to offend people. Jesus didn't walk around offending people. What you do is you get to understand people, know who they are, meet them where they are. And we're not to judge anybody. And I think he learned that towards the end of his life and towards the end of football when he retired. And man, I might have said some things that kind of maybe to certain communities that could have had them feeling a certain way. And he apologized for that because that's not how the Bible tells us to reach folks, is by offending them. The Bible and God teaches us to love and love everybody. So that's what we do. We spread love. So I would say Reggie White, just the way he played the game. This man was lifting 300-pound men with one stiff arm and throwing them to
Minister of Defense.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's the best defensive player to ever play. Obviously Deion is in the mix. You got your boy Aaron Donald in the mix. But the Minister of Defense, he was something to reckon with.
He was with the Eagles, and he changed. To me, he changed free agency because him going to Green Bay opened up eyes. Like, wait, that brother's going to Green Bay. Yeah. What's in Green Bay? And then made free agency changed the whole complexion was Reggie White going to Green Bay because
Yeah.
why did he pick Green Bay? He said, God told him to go there, which is, so,
He opened the door for free agency
Yes.
and what players, the movement in the NFL now, he is the one who helped open the door for that and start that discussion.
Do you have a favorite Green Bay game? Obviously the Super Bowl. What Super Bowl? You've been a Green Bay fan forever. Do you like the Brett Favre Super Bowl or the Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl team? Which one?
Oh, I'm Aaron Rodgers all day.
You Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah,
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers all day.
Okay.
So you saying, do I have a favorite game?
Yeah, Super Bowl or
Oh, that's
the
a
Dallas playoff game when he tippy-toed or
Yeah, you hit it on the head. That was my favorite game. You know why? Because Dallas, if you remember, they were the number one team in the NFL, number one team in the NFC, number one seed. They had the best O-line in the game. They had the best running game in the game. They had the best wide receiver, arguably, in the game with X-Men, you know. And that offense was just clicking. They had the best tight end in the game at that time. They were unstoppable force. I mean, if you got down to them, they hand that ball off to Ezekiel Elliott for the rest of the game. If you're playing from behind, he's milking that clock, and he's almost a first down every time he touched it at that time. He was remarkable. And so going into that game, I had some fans that are Dallas Cowboy fans, and this is what I told them. I said, look, you guys are good. I said, and you guys are the better team than us. You're more talented than us. You're favored. I said, if you make a mistake, we are going to capitalize off of it, and that's the way that we can get you. And if you remember, they ended up having the number one seed, so they had a bye. So last game of the season, they didn't play any of their players because the number one seed locked up. Then they had the bye week, and I said, that's 2 weeks off. And if you remember, that was the RELAX year, and we ran 6 off in a row coming into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So when you have those teams coming in hot and they're rolling at the right time, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're a better team. It's about who's healthy and who's hot at the time. We came in 6 in a row, and you saw what happened. They made a mistake, and I remember it was I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. He jumped the route. He ended up going to the Buffalo Bills after he left us. He was a safety.
Yeah, okay.
So he jumped the route and he caught the interception, and that was a turnover that we needed. And when he caught that turnover and we got the lead and we got up by 2 touchdowns, it was difficult for them now to run the ball. Now they had to go in the air, and we played him for that. And it was a fun game. And that third down where he had to go, what was it, 18 yards, I think he got on that pass to the tight end.
Yeah, the tippy toe.
Yeah, tippy toe. One of my favorite plays of all time.
I have a question for you, Ray.
Yep.
You're Green Bay head to toe.
Oh, I know where we're going. Go ahead.
Head to toe, Green Bay up. My question is this. At the Coliseum, I had a tailgate.
Yep.
Me, my cousin Malik showed up.
Yep.
Our boy Jason.
Yeah.
And as I recall, Ray Green was wearing a Todd Gurley jersey.
I was.
Now, why would a Green Bay fan be wearing a Rams jersey? Explain that, Ray Green.
Okay, so you say I'm wearing a Jordan Love jersey. It's all about showing love, right? You know, it's a hometown team. I wanted to support them coming back. I actually had Rams season tickets for the very first season that they came back. That was more of an investment, right? But it was to support the local team. But my allegiance to the Packers never wavered. That was me as a hometown guy supporting the team that came back. And I'm an LA guy, right? I'm a Dodger fan. I'm a Laker fan. And it was a team that I was happy that they were back. I was having fun with my buddies, obviously.
I got on him, you guys. I was like, wait. I got on him. How you gonna wear Todd Gurley? I'm like, why you wearing Todd Gurley here?
Yeah. But
I didn't recognize him.
It was showing love. It was showing love. It was all in fun, showing love to the hometown Rams. But everybody know I bleed this green and yellow, baby, all day.
I got another example, you guys. So a couple years ago, Green Bay loses the playoffs. He went on Facebook, taking off stuff off his walls, saying, "Whose house? Rams' house." Do you recall that day?
I do recall that, and what I was saying was it wasn't the Rams' house; it was our house, baby. And so no.
You weren't taking stuff off your wall saying
never.
You weren't saying Rams' house?
No. I was poking fun. I was poking fun at the Rams a little bit because you had jabbed me up a little bit, so we were poking a little bit.
But hey, y'all, my bad. But hey, y'all,
I knew you was gonna bring that up.
But hey, y'all, I got the picture. I got the video of him wearing a Todd Gurley jersey. I'm going to sift through it. I'm going to blast it. He's happy, smiling like this, like, I was like, whoa, I didn't reckon why you come here wearing a tie, girl? Oh, Damon, man, you don't understand. He didn't know what to say. I had him fumbling like.
No, nobody was fumbling. He going over exaggerate.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you guys.
For supporting the hometown team. I kept the pictures up. You can go to my Instagram, see the pictures. I'm at the Rams games with my buddies. But when it comes to the Packers, there is no denying what the deal is.
I'm gonna tell you guys a funny story. Before I even knew Ray Green, I knew who he was because I was going to Fullerton College, right? And a female came up to me. She's like, oh, I thought you're my friend, Ray Green. I said, what? She's like, do you have a brother named Ray Green? I said, I ain't got no brother. She's like, oh my God, you look just like him. Your eyes, your face. She's like, oh, he was so funny. You don't know who Ray Green is? I said, all black people look alike. I don't know who Ray Green is. Like, okay, is he cool? She's like, no, you got the energy of him. She's like, you don't know who he is? I said, I do not know who this guy is. I guess she went with you to high school, Garden Grove. Yeah. But she came on, she was so nice to me. She's like, when you see him, she just like, our face look alike. I said, I don't know who this guy Ray Green is. I don't know who he is. And then one time I finally saw him, like, hey, is your name Ray? I just knew right away the structure. Like, okay, that's him. And then we became cool ever since. But that girl coming up to me saying, oh, I thought you were my friend Ray. I thought she was trying to pick me up. I'm like, my name ain't Ray. My name is Damon, girl. But hey, you going to be at the Packer game this Sunday, tailgating with us?
I plan on possibly going and going. I'm actually, this Saturday, I have the privilege of interviewing the Green Bay Packers, their chaplain.
Oh, wow.
Sean Hennessy.
Congratulations.
So he's coming down a day early. And so for our sports ministry, our sports program, we get to interview athletes, chaplains, things like that. And what we do is we interview those folks that are in the NFL, NBA. We get their story. Everybody has a story, right? And what we do with that is we end up getting them to sign balls, and we use those as awards that go to the kids in our league. So how cool is that? You join the league as a kid, and you get a ball signed from the athlete that's given to you. I have a couple balls at the house right now that are signed by Amon-Ra St. Brown that we're going to give out this season. Wow. I have a couple of balls because my other buddy, he's shout out to PG, Pastor George. He is the chaplain for the Chargers.
Wow. Okay.
And so I went to their training camp and he had multiple guys sign some balls for me. Got to get out on the field, meet those guys. So those are all gifts that we're going to give to kids in our league. That's amazing. The award suits who the kid is, and they're nominated by their teammates.
Now, your Pack come in 1-3. The Rams are 1-3. I know you think Green Bay's going to win, but tell me what you think about the game is going to happen.
Okay, 2-2. You trying to sell a short on 2-2.
Okay, dang it. I think you caught that.
Got our 2 wins with Malik Willis. We'll take it.
Okay, you're right.
But yeah, my predictions coming in, I think that, when we come to L.A., we struggle when we come to LA. I don't know. I've been to a couple games here with the Rams. I was so mad. We were at a game. I was talking head. I had all my Green Bay stuff on. And we had you guys. We thought we had you guys.
Fumble, huh?
We were down by 2. We're down by 2 or 1. 2 or 1, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it was 2.
And the fumble.
And Ty Montgomery took it out of the end zone. And I was like, if he kneels, we get it with like 2:05.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers is going to get 1 play off before a 2-minute warning. I think we had 2 timeouts. And Aaron was tossing it all over the field on you guys that day. So I was confident that he would at least get us a field goal. We had Mason Crosby at the time. Was one of the best kickers in the league. So I'm like, you guys know what time it is, Rams fans. Here we go. Aaron Rodgers 2-minute drill. And Ty Montgomery took it out and fumbled it in the red zone. And you guys took it right in and scored a touchdown. I could not believe it. And Ty Montgomery was cut the next day. So I had that experience. I've been to a Chargers game where we just laid an egg. This was a couple years ago. And when the Chargers first came out here, we laid an egg. And I think the guys got out here and just, hung out in LA. I think it was, whatever it was, 40 degrees down in Green Bay to get there. It was 90 that day. I went to the game today, it was 90. So, I'm always skeptical when we come out this way to the West Coast because something seems to always go wrong. But I'm pretty confident in this game just because, unfortunately, the Rams have a lot of injuries right now. And there's a lot of areas, even though we lost this last game, that we're playing at a high level in. We lead the league in takeaways. Up till this last week, we were number 1 in rushing in the league. There's a lot of things that we're doing well. And so I think with us coming into a game where a team is a little bit hobbled, has some injuries. But I don't put anything past the Rams. I don't put anything past Matthew Stafford. That guy is a fighter. I remember when you had the conversation. I had this conversation with several Rams fans who called me when Matthew Stafford went to the Rams. And because I'm an NFC North guy, the question was, Ray, what do you think? We got Matthew Stafford. You've watched him a lot over the years in the NFC. And you remember what I told you?
Yeah.
What'd I tell
You're
you?
going to throw a lot of interceptions, but you said he's going to throw a lot of interceptions this
Yes.
year, but he's going to lead you to the promised land. You
I
said
did.
it because he said he's a better weapons with the Rams than he did with Detroit. Better surrounding cast, but you say he's going to throw a lot of interceptions, Damon, and there's going to be one that's, you called it. You called everything that happened.
Yeah.
You said he's going to throw a costly interception, but the guy from the Niners didn't catch that interception.
Sure didn't. And I told you, I said he's going to throw a lot of interceptions because
Yes.
that's what he does. He's a gunslinger.
Yep.
I said, but you have the defense to get the ball back for him. You guys have no one defense in the league, and that's exactly what happened. The guy is tough. He plays through injuries. He doesn't give up. You cannot count Matthew Stafford. I got a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford.
My note is this. Every time we played you in Green Bay, we've never been healthy because you guys beat us in the playoffs.
True.
You guys beat us when we had Baker Mayfield. You guys beat us when we had Brent Rippon. We have never played you full strength. Even when you beat us in the playoffs with Jared Goff, Aaron Donald was hurt.
He was.
So
Remember
now
his
his ribs. So now you're playing us in LA and everybody's hurt still. So it's just like, come on, man. But of course, I got the Rams winning the game. I went through hey, if it's close, I got my boy Cardi kicking a 40-yard field goal to win the game, 24-21. With that being said, whose house? Rams house. Whose house? Rams house. Thank you for joining us, Ray Green.
sir.
See you at Tailgate.
Yes, sir.
Woo!
Go, Pat, go. Let's get it. That was good.
Welcome back. Hey, that was a great interview. My boy Ray Green, I've known him forever, man. Passionate Packer fan. I just rib him up a little bit because he did wear that girly jersey, and I didn't recognize him. Go, who are you? Come on, shut up. Just on him, but yeah, that was a great interview, as you can see. Usually around this time, we talk about the upcoming games. I'm not doing that this time. I'm talking about the quarter because there's 4 quarters in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
There's 17 games, but I go by 4, 4, 4, 4. So the first quarter's technically over because first 4 the Revs are 1-3. With that being said, so I'm gonna go through the division leaders of each division and tell me what you think. The AFC East, the Bills are 3-1. Jets are 2-2. Pats are 1-3. And Miami's 1-3. Do you think this is gonna hold true that Buffalo's gonna win the division?
Yeah, I think Josh Allen is playing some good football right now, and I think the Jets are. I think they're going to struggle. So I think I think Buffalo will win that division.
And I think so too. I think the Jets, they may make the playoffs, but it's kind of like how Brent Favre went to Jets, figured things out. He's the coach of the team. Brent Favre was the coach of the team. Aaron Rodgers is the coach of the team. He has more experience than anybody on that team, So they're 2-2. They may make the playoffs. I think the Pats and Miami are done. Tua should be out for the year. The Pats may not win 6 games, and they're done. Now, the AFC North-South, Pittsburgh is 3-1, Ravens 2-2, Cleveland 1-3, and Cincy 1-3. I don't think this holds up. I think Baltimore wins the division.
Yeah, I think Baltimore definitely wins that division by at least, I'd say by 3 games.
Now, Pittsburgh, do you think Justin Fields keeps the job with Russell Wilson?
Yes, I would stick with because I think he's your future. I think Justin Fields, he's more talented at this point in his career.
Do you think Cleveland with the Deshaun Watson going on, I don't think they make the playoffs at all. Man, they're in disarray. Yeah.
Yeah, that team is they got a lot of issues, a lot of problems. It's frustrating. I couldn't imagine, only 4 or 5 weeks into the season and you're already pretty much out of it.
Do you think the Bengals make the playoffs at being 1-3?
The Bengals are another team that's struggling. They got a lot of internal issues going on. I think it'll be hard for them to get in the playoffs.
Now, the AFC South, we got the Houston Texans 3-1, Indianapolis Colts 2-2, Tennessee 1-3, and Jacksonville 0-4. Do you think this maintains and Houston wins the division?
Yeah, I think Houston wins the division, and I think the Colts will make the playoffs.
Okay, now, is Jacksonville done at 0-4? Are they done?
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence is not who he's...
No, it's interesting as you watch him play. He's regressing. That whole team. So the ownership said that this was the most talented team ever. And you see, it's not only the Rams, other teams too, that, you may think on paper that you have, your team set, but, there's other factors, injuries, and also you got to be focused. And it seems like their team is going in different directions. And also it's funny, they're starting to ask the head coach about, his job security. And he seems kind of shocked they're asking. But you know what? In football, NFL stands for not for long.
It does.
If you don't get it done, somebody else will.
Now, the AFC West, KC's 4-0, Chargers 2-2, Vegas Raiders 2-2, Denver's 2-2. I've said beginning, KC's going to win the division. It's not pretty, but they win. I don't care if you win 2-0, 3-0, 3 whatever. Mm-hmm. A victory is a victory, Sal. And to me, KC's going to win that division. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. I think KC's going to win it easy. And then Denver, I think, is just kind of winning and just catching a break here and there. But And the Raiders are struggling, but it'll definitely be Kansas City.
You see Cleveland's new running back, old running back, but new running back, Kareem Hunt. Yeah. He's 29. He's been out a couple years off. He looks, you go from Cleveland to Andy Reid again. Your whole life changes. It looks like he's 29. He could be two. It looks running like he's 22 because he's rejuvenated playing with him.
It's interesting. He was out there on the market, right? And when they signed him on the practice squad, got him in the shape, and he's ready to go. He's a good player.
The Raiders are in disarray because Devontae Adams doesn't seem like he wants to be there. And let's see.
But you know what's crazy is like you think about for them to be like, you hear Antonio Pierce, the coach, saying that some of the players are kind of doing their own thing. That's pretty sad when you've only played 4 or 5 games. The NFL week 5 and you played 4 games and you're already kind of doing your own thing. Not a good sign for Coach Pierce.
Now, this is the biggest surprise to me. In the NFC East, the Commanders are 3-1, Dallas is 2-2, Philadelphia is 2-2, and the Giants are 1-3. The surprise is not the Giants are in last place. The surprise is Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders are in first place out 3-1. I ain't seen them in 3-1 since Joe Theismann probably played that's the biggest surprise to me. 3-1, the Commanders, Redskins.
Well, they're well coached too, and they have the right coach and also the right quarterback. But when young teams get that way, first they're kind of surprised, but as you start having success, then you start saying, wait a minute, we can compete with anybody. And then you start getting that swag, and they're going to be tough to beat if they continue to play this way.
Another surprise in NFC North, we got the Vikings 4-0, Detroit 3-1, Green Bay 2-2, and Chicago 2-2. Now, this is going to be a fight for the division because do you think it's going to maintain 4-0? Minnesota's going to go, win the division. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but to win the division, everybody thought it was going to be Detroit's division or Green Bay, but Minnesota's 4-0 with the rejuvenated Sam Darnold. This is crazy to me.
Yeah, but I think when you watch football, I think that the Lions are probably the top team. And then after that, Minnesota is playing really good ball right now, but I think they're peaking way too early.
You think so?
But yeah, a lot of these teams, a couple of weeks ago, the Saints had the most explosive offense, right? Buffalo Bills have the most explosive offense. It's week to week, but eventually Minnesota will kind of cool down, and I think the Lions will win that division.
NFC West, Sal. Seattle's 3-1, Niners 2-2, Arizona 1-3, and our Rams are 1-3 in last place in the division. Thoughts on that division, Sal?
Wow, who would have thought we'd be where we are now, right? But I still have a lot of hope. We're not out of it. It's a long season. They play Green Bay, then you have the bye, start getting some players back. The main thing for the Rams is just stay together.
It's crazy because 1-3, hopefully we'll win against Green Bay, but say like we're 1-4. Last year we were 3-7, and all hope was lost. Rams are done, and we're over. And they went on that streak. So it's like 3-7 sounds worse to me than one. They're both bad, but 3-7 was like, oh my, like 9 games into the season, you're 3-7. They went on that run. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I want the run to happen again. I want the Rams to win.
Yeah.
And I want them. I don't care if they win ugly, pretty. I just want them to win. So I don't care if it's Josh Carty is going to kick field goals the rest of the year and win 12-9 the rest of the year. But if they win that and go to the Super Bowl, I'm happy. But I just need them to create the run game like you mentioned earlier. Do something different. Like, come on. Like, this Green Bay game, Green Bay's going to come in pissed. After being down 22-0, winning 31-29. We're going to see, man, because I need to call. I don't want Ray Green calling me that Sunday talking noise to me, Sal, because I ain't going to pick up his phone call. I always pick up phone calls, everybody. You guys know you call me. I pick up every phone call. I don't duck nothing, Sal. Rams lose, right away. Ding! Hello? But what they do, they wait for their team if their team's already played and the Rams lose, okay, but if the Rams win, silencio. Like, why my phone ain't ringing? Only people I'm talking to is you. Hey, Rams fans, okay, but nobody else calls me when the Rams win. But as soon as they lose, yes.
Speaking of that, calling you as soon as they lose, Raider Mike is right on it, huh?
Raider Mike.
I think he's calling before the game.
I think he'll call me during the podcast.
Yeah, he's watching like that. As soon as it's final, he calls.
Raider Mike.
Yeah.
You have problems you need to worry about in your own home. Because Devontae Adams, you get one of Devontae Adams, that game ain't going to pay off in Vegas, don't look like.
That's right, yeah.
With that being said, another episode of the Going Around Buzz. Before we end, make sure you come to the tailgate October 6th, this Sunday, Rams, Green Bay, Pink Lot J. Yes. I'm going to give a big shout out to our flyer person, Chris Cruz. She makes an amazing flyer, talented, creative. Big shout out to our director, Angel. Big shout out to my team, my Booster Club, Vinny. Big shout out to my sponsor, Brea Bakery, Recover, Casa Azul. Big shout out to Malik. Big shout out to the DJs, Albert, DJ Fat Albert, DJ Illmatic. See us at the tailgate this Sunday. Rams take on the Packers. Pink Lot J. Whose house? Rams house. Whose house? Rams house. Whose house? Rams house. Woo!
Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Golden Rams Barbershop. Okay, Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Home of the champions. Golden Rams Barbershop. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast.